I thought about opening this show with a song, but I didn't want to do it because I typically don't want copyright strikes, especially now that like we have a YouTube channel which has like 3,865 subscribers. It's as if like someone hacked my account overnight and just told all their friends about it. Weird. Or maybe we're just people like us, I guess. Nah, that's not it. I don't know. I don't know anything, but I know everything. You ever felt that way? Like you don't know anything, yet you feel you know everything.
I do everything all the time.
Do you? I like that
I
one.
knew you were going to say that.
Who told you? Why didn't they? I guess we should hit the join button there. For once, the Facebook isn't doing that thing where it decides to play the audio of the show you're listening to, which is Blunt Talk here on TPT. How was your weekend, Ross Collins?
It was all right.
Just all right?
Yeah, it was all right.
What do you mean? Just all right.
It was all right.
Just all right.
They're all weekends, yeah.
I mean, every single weekend is always a weekend. I mean, when you truly sit down and think about it, the end of the week is the weekend.
Yeah, that's why it's called that, but it also contains the beginning of the week, so I never understood why it was called that anyway.
But you gotta realize this: everybody's working for the weekend, and I'm one of those guys. We're back to work every weekend.
I hate working on weekends.
I love working on the weekends. I had a fun time this past weekend. I don't even consider it work when I have fun. And that's what we did was we had a lot of fun covering the Lynn Lewis Foundation Breast Cancer Awareness Women's Flag Football Tournament. Let me tell you, Ross Collins, what a weekend it was down there in front of the historic RFK Stadium at the new auxiliary turf fields they got.
Great setup.
Oh my gosh. I have to say, probably the best tournament setup I have seen. Yeah, the fields were legitimate. You had a place to go for the kids, so like you could have brought the kids down there. There was playground equipment, and it's brand new. All of it was brand new stuff going on. Facilities were new. There was food vendors there. There was great flag football action all weekend long. Started at 2:00 on Friday, actually. Unfortunately, we were not able to go down there. It's a lot to go from working my regular job, my Monday through Friday, to doing this now. It's like it's practically a lot of moving parts that go into that, especially when I'll be honest with you, this is not my focus anymore. Like that sounds weird, but TBT and live streaming for me is not what it was. I know you've been dormant all year, but you actually got out there before I did. Yeah, you went out to XFFL back in April. Yeah, memories of going out there up in New Jersey, the northern part of Jersey.
Rainy weekend.
Yeah, it looks pretty rough out there. I was watching live all weekend.
Same kind of setup.
But that's what
weren't quite as nice, but it was the same kind of setup.
Yeah, and we always talk.
Food was on point.
Was it on point? Envious.
Two different sides of the concession stand.
Oh, bro. Dude, I'll be honest with you. I really think that what makes the tournament.
Sounds like it's on point down there in DC.
DC was lit. I will tell you, DC was lit all weekend. And I was happy to take part in that, man. And you know what? We're back at DC this weekend again.
Yeah.
And you talk about rainy tournaments. Do you remember when we were in DC? I was, at least. Yeah. 2019 Capital Classic. Yeah, I remember that great game, Maryland Raiders and AFN in a rainstorm under the lights, a setting you rarely see in 9-man. You remember playing in the snow against the Scorpions and Rampage back at Hagerstown 18?
Oh yeah.
That's the things that makes tournaments.
We didn't play in the snow though. I didn't play in the snow.
Oh, the field didn't have snow on it.
By that point, the field had been so trampled on, there was no snow on the field.
All mud.
It was mud.
R.I.P. Hagerstown. R.I.P. Mason Dixon Classic.
To be fair,
I love that tournament. I missed that tournament.
When I got there was snow on the ground, but there was still snow on the ground, but on the
Oh,
field.
so you didn't have the freezing rain and sleet experience I had 2 years prior playing for too much talent against the OU Panthers.
2018 was my first tournament.
2015 for me, Virginia Beach, part of the Red Knights. The Survivors went down.
So got the team.
Dude, that weekend, I'll tell you, the moment you see me, Alan Roberts, Paul Shade, and Lee Donovan on the defensive line, I just hear over the Survivors are the D line. We held it down. We went against BC. We went against Rideout. And it's crazy. You think back at what makes tournaments, it's memories like that. It's memories like you go back this time of the year. Usually Clash of York takes place, not the case this fall. Hey, I get it. A lot of things going on. I'm glad it's not happening. You know why? We got a lot going on already. We're getting busy. We're getting congested. We need to make tournaments great again, honestly. Because tournaments right now, you're getting less competition coming in because everybody's getting busy. But this past weekend, having gone down there to the Lynn Lewis Foundation tournament, it to me,
Okay.
yeah, it was great. That's the kind of tournament atmosphere. That's the kind of intensity needed. Those girls came out there and gave it everything. Let me give like a couple of shout outs to some games I covered. And 2 games that came down to the very end. Yeah. 2 games that came down to the very end. And honestly, I think I might replay some of those another night soon because I like that a lot. And I feel like that deserves to get out there. Like we played earlier. We did show one earlier for AFN TMT. That's for 5 years this weekend. I want to put a night out there to get those games out there. Talk about the 2 games in particular I covered. I go back to the 8 comp championship. That game between Savage Sisters and New Era. What a classic. It was 13-0 with 4 minutes to go, less than 4 minutes to go. Savage Sisters had the lead all game. Their defense was coming up with big plays. Nothing was going wrong for them up to that point. Everything was happening. It seemed like it was their moment. They go for a punt. Punt don't go far. It gives New Era great field position. They get the ball. They score. We're under 2. It's an onside kick. So they go for the onside kick. The kickoff rule. Remember the old onside kick in 9-man? Get it past the 20?
Yeah.
That applied here. That applied in 8s.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Especially when teams elect to do that, but then only have to have a kicker.
and that was the thing was, could the ball get there? Could it be bobbled? Could it end up getting in the air somehow? They recovered it. It was easy for them to recover. It got to about the 27, so it wasn't a threat to knock it past. But
I remember a time back in the day where a kid called a fair catch. It's one of those offside kick, and they didn't call it. Fair catch, called it, and I think he ran back for a touchdown, didn't
they did, but that's a whole other story.
he?
Yeah. Let's talk about this past weekend, though. That return was fair call. Or not fair call. You got me distracted with that. Thanks. Thanks. Thanks for your random warrior memory. But, I go back to that game. They had 4 chances to move the ball. They got up the field. Seemed like they were going to win. Went for the punt. And it's interesting. Before the punt happened, everyone's in favor of it except for one individual on the sideline. I don't single anybody out. So they said, don't do it. And even I was for it. I'm like, yeah, you got to punt it here. You got to play field position, play defense. That was just one bad drive off of what was not a great punt to happen before, which I get that stance from that. But this one was a good punt. It was booming, it bounced, and it was hard to field. And forgive me, I don't have the returner's name on hand. I didn't know a lot of names. This was the very first women's exclusive tournament I had done. We did do some games down in Florida when we were at nationals in 2021. And we did do the women's game at Blick last year, but that was really all we had done up to that point. So forgive me if I don't call names similar to how I do in 9-man and all that. That takes years to get down, trust me. But nonetheless, the punt went for 6. It was a touchdown, went to overtime, and they ended up scoring in overtime, 4 plays from the 20 to win the game. Yeah. Came down to the very end. And it was one of the greatest games I'd ever seen. And I thought I'd put out a greatest games compilation one day. That's going to be on there. That was a classic. And that was also shot from about 3 different camera angles.
What the hell did you just say compilation? Compilation?
Move on. Stop being a troll.
What the hell?
You're not funny. Bully. Anyways,
No, you definitely just said compilation.
I just said something like that.
It's compilation.
Whatever. Anyhow, then there was the 5 championship we were at, non-contact comp division. That was Presser versus Cleats and Cleavage. That came down to 2 last-second scores. One in the back of the end zone that was thrown to give Cleats and Cleavage the lead, and another was a bomb 30 yards down the field in the back of the end zone where the receiver had to jump up for it in coverage to catch and land in. And that was a great win for Presser. That was a great tournament overall. We had a great time this weekend, and we're looking forward to getting out there more when we can. Like I said, we're just busy, and we're getting some time these next few weeks. We are. I know you're busy. You gotta, yeah, I know you've been busy.
Yeah, coach of kids football, man.
A lot of guys are busy with that right now. That's something that right now at 9-man is starting to be a factor, I feel like, because you take a look at it, everybody's just busy with other stuff. You go back to what the Bulldogs are saying. They're going to be down in Tampa doing flag football life because of the kids. Kids are going to be down there in Tampa for that. FFWCT is having their nationals down there. You got to go there if you are playing with Strong Island. And honestly, Strong Island, they could play for another national championship. They got that 2019 chip. I think they want to take care of other things right now. That's where we're at right now entirely in the sport of flag football as a whole. There is so much happening. It's all about choices and direction and what you want to do. And that's where you start to take a look at the state of everything. Where are we going to? But before we get to that, let's take a look at what we're heading for, because we got a good weekend ahead. Washington County's back. So what do we miss in Washington County? It's a competitive battle for first place. That is something I will say. This Saturday is going to be a very competitive battle for that first place spot. You got 2 games back to back, 9:00. It's going to be Chaos versus X-Dogs. Right now, Chaos is coming in at 4-2-1. They had a tie with the Killer Bees. They lost to Cram Central in the rematch, which means Cram Central now has the opportunity to come in there and get that first place spot, because right now they're up there at 5-1 and they're tied with the X-Dogs technically record wise. However, X-Dogs had the head-to-head a few weeks ago when they faced off against Cram Central. So as a result of that, the X-Dogs have first place in Washington County, entering the final week of the regular season over in Greencastle. And that's where I look forward to seeing how each of the teams do this upcoming weekend in that league play. They're going to end up playing over there in Greencastle's upcoming weekend. It's going to be 9 a.m. Chaos X Dogs. Chaos with a win can still actually get first place in Washington County. What would happen is it would require them to beat the X Dogs. And then from there, they would need the Cram Central to go out. The Cram Central. What a weird name. This one kind of is a weird one. They technically have the advantage if Cram loses to Bees. And if they lose to X Dogs, or if they tie X Dogs, it's a weird hypothetical. It's a long shot. They might get second at most, though. I'm looking at it in my head right now. It's like 5-2-1 is the record. Dogs can, or Cram can easily lose both, but one has to lose to the other. And right now, they do have the advantage on the X Dogs, technically speaking, from a head-to-head standpoint. So if something were to happen where there is a three-way tie at 5-2-1, let's just say Chaos beats X Dogs, and then X Dogs ties Cram, and then Cram loses the Killer Bees. Point differential is what it ultimately come down to between the three teams. Because at 5-2-1, the tie kind of messes everything up from a head-to-head standpoint, especially in a season everybody's played it twice.
Right.
So Chaos needs to beat the X Dogs. And this is a hypothetical I just thought about and why I was going on for a while about it, because like it's starting to come to me as I'm talking about it. Chaos could beat them, but they need X Dogs to tie Cram. That's kind of the complicated part. Because technically speaking, a tie can happen. And, you know, it goes back to last year in the NFL season when the Raiders were playing the Chargers. And there was a hypothetical where if a tie happens, both teams got into playoffs over the Steelers. This one, not of the same caliber, but it's interesting and it's a possibility. We'll see if it happens. Game after that is going to be X Dogs and Cram Central. X Dogs are going to be facing off against them. That's going to be a 10-15 kickoff. X Dogs won the first game. We'll see who takes this one. What could be at stake if the X Dogs beat Chaos, they're in the driver's seat to win the league's regular season championship and get the 1 seed and choice of where they want to play at time was. If Cram Central ultimately takes it, what I see happening is they would have the driver's seat to first place. They'd be 6-1. X Dogs would be sitting at 6-2, and so they'd have to beat the Killer Bees right after to clinch it. And that's if the X Dogs had beaten Chaos. But if Chaos beats the X Dogs, Cram clinches it because at that stage Chaos can catch him at 6-1. Yeah, it's a bit more complex than how I made it seem like in the uncut page. Yeah. Game after that is going to be Killer Bees and Cram Central. What's at stake? Cram, if the X Dogs win against Chaos and Cram beats the X Dogs, then they're suddenly playing for first place with a win over the Killer Bees. Now, if the X Dogs lose, they would have already clinched it, so the game would be meaningless, so to speak. Now, let's just say there's a tie in that hypothetical. If they'd have to beat the Bees, then that's another part of that chaos. Clinching first place is Cram beating the Bees. Yeah, a lot of things into that. So Cram beats the Bees in that hypothetical, then they ultimately win first place. But if they lose, then all of a sudden, Chaos has that chance to win the league off a three-way tie. And I've gone across that from this. Sheesh. Anyways, yeah, you see what's at stake. It's all dependent on how these games go, which is what makes this week actually really interesting because every game is reliant on the game prior to that. Because if you're X Dogs, you know you have to win both games to get the division no matter what, or the league no matter what. If you're Chaos, you win that first game. Now you're watching the second game and third game very closely. And if you're Cram Central, you got to win both games, it seems like, regardless, unless one team slips in the first game, then suddenly maybe you can lay back in the last game, but you got to be careful doing that. You know how it goes. And then final game of the day, 1:00, Killer Bees and Warriors. That game is a battle of who gets to choose what sideline, what jersey collar they want. Does Eric want white or does Sean want white? Who's going to get to wear the white jersey?
I like the red though.
I do like the red. They should do black versus red. Killer Bee black versus Warrior red. That's all I'm going to see. No? You want to see Killer Bee white versus Warrior red? Yeah, have you seen their white jersey?
Killer Bee.
Yeah. That's nice.
Okay.
It's a memorial jersey for the 5-year anniversary,
For
sir.
a yellow and black bee, it doesn't make any sense, but all right. That's just my old school talking.
You are too old
I'm
school
also the
sometimes.
same guy that used to talk shit to people when they wore an Oreo hat that wasn't black and orange. But
Were those things a thing?
well, that was definitely a thing back in the day.
Ugh. Yeah, I don't know to make of all that.
I actually, when I said that, I specifically remember a gray and yellow one. This doesn't make any sense. The gray hat, the light gray hat, and the O symbol was yellow.
It's a little weird.
I mean, I get the hat thing, but
I guess it's like
I remember telling that guy that too. I get the hat thing, but
yeah, but I'll say that
if the hat doesn't make sense.
yeah, but TBT has the same thing. It's like I'm wearing the white logo and then the pink logo is next to me. And then we have the red and the blue and the Thanksgiving theme next month.
For me, TPT was black and white and red with blue.
Looking back, I would have done more throwback
As
themes.
far as the team went,
Black and white was the main colors of that team.
TPT not just a team.
Yeah. Well, the reason it was black and white was because in the first tournament, mostly the guys had black jerseys already from their league team. So I said just wear that because it made sense.
Also, NWO. So
Yeah. Well, no, that logo came after the fact. That was never a thought till about a year later. Like TBT was supposed to be a one-off. That was never supposed to go as far as it did. And then next thing I know, I'm working as an Instacart shopper as my main job against guys who like make way more than I do. Weird times. Weird times as a 9-man owner at a low point. Sheesh. What else is going on this weekend? Oh yeah, we're going to be down at Tucker Road, MAFFL. That's going to be interesting. Playoffs over there, for me, I feel like it's going to be one of the best possible tournaments you can go to. And this is why I like playoff flag football in season. It's a lot more interesting. On top of that, you have competitive games. You have guys giving their best. You have great competition all around, which MAFFL this year has had a lot of great games going on. It's had a lot of great action. Trying to pull up this bracket real quick. Well, that Zoom is not even right. That's wild. Okay. That's a little weird. All right, I'm going to read it off. Schedule down there, Mercenaries Dream. If you want to go back and see my thoughts on these games, watch the video on Twinning with me and Chaz and Charles the other night. That was a really good interview. Those guys are doing great work. Reminds me a lot of what you, me, and T Spence were doing in this garage about 5 years ago almost now. Like, I give those guys a lot of credit. They're doing great work, stepping up for MAFFL's media and creating something for the players that they're enjoying. Like, you could see a lot of energy going on that's positive down in that Tucker Road area down in DC. We're going to check it out Sunday morning. That first game is going to be Mercenaries and Dream. From what I'm hearing, this is going to be an interesting game. We'll see how it goes. Who do you got, Ross? Mercenaries or Dream? I want to see what your predictions for this is.
Dream.
You got Dream?
Yeah.
Okay, Dream gets a Sunday win. Okay, I like it. I can see them getting it, but we saw my thoughts in the last video. From what I've been told, Mercenaries has Crazy Nick. It has Aunt Mo, a couple misfit guys, the way they described it. I like the Mercenary squad I saw in Charm City. That team had a lot of potential and promise. That was a fun team to cover, but we'll see how this one does. 9 o'clock game. On one field, you have No Mercy versus the Grimies. Who do you got, Ross?
I'm gonna No Mercy.
You got No Mercy?
Yeah.
That's who I had the other night. All right. Over there, 9:15 game, Southside FOE, classic MAFFL matchup. I already talked about it the other night. Who do you got between FOE and Southside?
FOE.
FOE?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. I didn't want to do it. No. Bye.
I like this guy.
Okay. I like FOE as well. Like, I think they take that matchup.
And B.
Whatever. Anyways. This guy. So over there on that side of the bracket, pulling up my phone now. Ride Out versus, you would have Dream versus Ride Out on that end.
Yep.
Who do you got?
Ride Out.
Ride Out. I had Ride Out too. Over on the other side, PME versus Petty. Our guy T-Spence down there for Team Petty last week. They shout out to Tyler making the trip down there. Who do you got between PME and Petty?
I got PME.
PME. All right, semi-final one, your bracket. No Mercy versus Ride Out. By the way, from what I'm gathering, this is the No Mercy Scorpions, supposedly.
I'm gonna go No Mercy. I was
No
gonna
Mercy.
do that before you even said that.
Okay. And on the other side, PME versus FOE.
I got PME all day long.
So your championship game is PME versus No Mercy.
I got PME all day long.
Okay. Big bragging rights on the line there. Big bragging rights on the line there.
That does make it interesting. What you? Yeah, I'm still on PME.
You're still on PME? Okay. Let me pull up. You know, Skinny, I think, sent the Arch City bracket earlier. Trying to find that. It's buried in my many random messages on this account. Oh, it got buried. There it is. All right. Here's who he has. They're going to be starting down there at 9 a.m. Back in Black versus the Titans. This is another Titans team. This one's in St. Louis. Back in Black's a historical franchise.
Yeah, how about?
Goes back to the 80s. Those guys are. I got Back in Black.
I'm gonna go St. Louis.
Against the Titans. Wait, what? It's Back in Black versus the Titans. Weird.
I said what I said.
You said what you said. You say a lot of things.
St. Louis.
St. Louis. So between Back in Black and the Titans, you're going St. Louis.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Back in Black on my end.
Titans is good.
No, I got Back in Black. The Cartel versus Savage U. Who do you got? Cartel has been one of the top teams up there the last couple of years. Savage U is in the long line of teams who call themselves Savage. I'm waiting for Ron to get his own team and call themselves Savages. Or the 250 Savages. That's what he should run with. 250 Savage. I like that. Ron, if you're watching, run with that name. 250 Savage. That's up there with other great nicknames I proposed over the years. All right, I got Cartel. This Cartel's been up there the last couple of years. Savage, I feel like it's not ready yet. St. Louis Spartans and Wildcats. Who do you get?
Wild card.
Wild card.
I always got the wild card.
It's Wildcats. Jesus. Butchering this segment.
I said what I said.
Might be mean to Skinny and that out there. Try to get their league some love, and you're just like being Ross. Saul versus Tank Dogs.
So
I got Saul as well. They've been up there the last couple of years.
I got to take over.
Oh, yeah, that's about right.
That's dogs.
Back in Black or Saul? Well, you have Tank Dogs. Here you go. So Back in Black and Tank Dogs.
Back in Black.
I got Back in Black as well. So we got the same semifinalist. Cartel versus the Wildcats. Who do you got? You picked against the St. Louis Spartans. Are you serious? They're one of the champions represented tonight. Really? Yeah, they're over there. Yeah, we got that from Nationals. Who you got between Cartel and Wildcats?
Spartan.
Okay, so you got the Spartans like I do. Championship Spartans versus Back in Black. That's going to be a competitive championship game. NTB not in this season. So you're going to have the Back in Black versus St. Louis Spartans. Could there be a third St. Louis team winning a 9-man championship this year?
Oh, Spartan.
I think the Spartans taking it as well. It's their time to shine. But I think Back in Black's going to be ready to go. But that's going to be a battle. That's going to be a matchup. That's all I think this weekend, too. What a time. This is all coming up this upcoming weekend on terms of playoffs. They're going to crown 2 champions, MAFFL and St. Louis, as part of Champions Month. Last league I'm looking at is OMFFL, if I can find their schedule. I don't know if I can or not. Here it is. All right. Baltimore Spartans versus Venom. Who do you got?
Who is it?
Baltimore Spartans and Venom.
Venom.
I'm going to go with Baltimore Spartans. They got Doc. Doc in November is going to be ready to go.
Yeah, Venom.
Maryland Titans and Rampage. Yes, Titans and Rampage in the quarterfinal on a Sunday. Or no, that's not its regular season. My bad. I'm dumb.
Yeah.
Damn. Maybe that's next week. We'll see. Yeah, I got ahead of myself there. It tells you.
Yeah, I know.
I got Titans in a regular season game.
I'll go Rampage.
Okay. Scorpions and Venom. I'm going to go with Venom. Bad Boys and Titans.
Bad boy.
I'm going to go with Bad Boys.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Ray Wagner.
We're doing good things over there.
I can't wait to be up there next weekend. I got to talk to them about heading down there this next weekend coming up. I'm trying to hit everything this fall I can. Because who knows about next spring, man. Could be here, could be there, could be anywhere. Could be nowhere. But everywhere at once. Spartans and Rampage. Who do you got?
No Spartans.
I'm going to go with Rampage. Venom or Bad Boys?
Bad boy.
Bad Boys for me, too. Final game of the regular season. Rampage and Scorpions.
Say it again.
Rampage and Scorpions.
I'll go Rampage.
I'm going to go with I'm gonna Rampage as well.
Yeah. Tough.
We'll see who wins. There'll be a lot of good games this weekend. We got more coming up next week. We're going to talk about the MAFFL stuff. We're going to probably do some interviews leading up to some tournaments. I know Rhode Island's coming up in a few weeks, Capital Classic as well, Nationals next. Just to enjoy while we can. Fall's about to come to an end, winter's coming. Make some time, enjoy some great flag football action. We got more coming for you. We'll see you soon.